Good afternoon. I'm Mike Lynch, and I head up the NASCAR Green Innovation Initiative, along with Catherine Coomer, who's here with us, has been working on this since the beginning of the year with us. And I guess we just wanted to put this really simple logo up to kind of demonstrate that, I don't know how you feel about it now, but 4 years ago, this was right out of Sesame Street in terms of which one of these does not belong, and they certainly don't seem to belong together. NASCAR in green in late 2008 was seen as highly counterintuitive at a time when, I guess it's kind of ironic we're here today. In late 2008, there was tumbleweeds and panic in the street outside this door, and here we were launching NASCAR Green right into the teeth of the Great Recession, and some people thought we were just downright crazy to do that. But the thinking behind it was that there was an opportunity, and an opportunity to accomplish some of the things that folks who've spoken before me today are looking to achieve in their own initiatives, but in this case, have a kind of unique situation. You have 67 million passionate fans watching and waiting to hear more. And part of what makes this counterintuitive is you look at this environment that's on this picture, and there's a lot of stuff going on here in terms of petroleum consumption, materials consumption, a lot of people getting together. 17 of the 20 largest live sporting events in the U.S. each year are actually NASCAR races. About 120,000 people on average are at those race weekends. And the Daytona 500 in February, at that racetrack on race day, there will be 250,000 people on the property at that race and 30 million watching on television. So everything from running the race to broadcasting the race to 10 million viewers a week. It's the number 2 sport on television in the U.S., to moving it from place to place with transport, something UPS knows more about than anyone, the official shipping company in NASCAR, by the way. It's really something to behold, but also offers an amazing stage with, again, 67 million people, 28% of the U.S. adult population, watching and open to hearing what's going on here. So very early on, we really tried to get a sense of what our fans were looking for in this and how we could best communicate green in the world of NASCAR. And it really came down to 3 things in terms of messages and 3 things in terms of areas of work. 3 bullet points is kind of the golden rule in business, I suppose, right? If you try to put much more than that, nobody will be able to figure out what you said by number 5 by the time you get to it. So, but it's really part of it too here is about not only what this is, but how you say it, because for us, we really needed to communicate with an awful lot of people in kind of a distracted situation about the work that we were doing. And so conservation of the environment, job creation in the U.S., and strengthening American energy independence said exactly that way reaches those 67 million people. And really backing all of that up are major initiatives in 3 areas that I'll just share with you. By far, the biggest recycling programs in sports, that's our sort of waste category of work. Water is something we're really interested in getting to here soon. That's complicated, and certainly applaud the folks who just went before us here in terms of tackling water issues. Emissions, by far the most visible biofuels program in the world with Sunoco Green E15 in the race cars, American-grown, American-made ethanol. And if you want to tackle something controversial and really take it head on with the American public, try corn ethanol in the middle of a recession. And this year in the middle of the worst drought in 60 years. We'll tell you a little bit more about that in a second. And then energy. You may not think of NASCAR and renewable energy, but we have by far the most diverse and the largest renewable energy program in sports, and it's about to get a lot larger. And if we could now, one of the things we wanted to show you is, well, how do we routinely communicate with 10 million viewers on a weekly basis? All demographics, gender, age. 40% of our fans are women. It's how do you get through to everybody? Well, one way we do is with repeated television spots about green, and we'd like to run a 30-second spot now for you to just get a feel. If you could run that, it'd be great.
There's nothing more exciting than taking the lead, which is why we're leading the way in new technology and innovations that benefit our environment. It's helped make us the #1 recycler in sports, #1 in renewable energy, and in advances like homegrown ethanol that help make our air cleaner. Because if there's ever been a race worth leading, this is it.
So we run 2 of those every season, every weekend on our National Series broadcasts. And part of communicating really is saying the same thing over and over again and then backing it up with real work. And what we'll share with you in a few minutes is what's all come of that, which is that the perceptions and the mindset around green of those 67 million people has moved. And it's really been quite dramatic. Sorry. So the largest recycling program in sports, just to give you a visual sense of it, creative recycling systems and electronics recycling. Try communicating about rare earth element recycling without a sport context in order to give it reality. Coca-Cola recycling in bottles and cans. Safety Clean with automotive fluids, 200,000 gallons a year. Goodyear and tires, Exide and batteries, Sprint and 40 million cell phones. I mean, it's really a very diverse program. Largest renewable energy programs in sports, that big patch of solar panels there at Pocono International Raceway, which isn't too far from here, about a 2-hour drive. That's 20 acres, 3 megawatts, by far the largest in the world. Upper right is Michigan, lower right is Sonoma Raceway in California. Our tree planting program went from 1 tree in the campgrounds at Michigan International Speedway to thousands a year all across the country, and we're doubling the size of it every year. It's a remarkable program. Actually, Catherine's heading up, and we're really proud of it. And I know our local race communities. Try this arithmetic on. You plant a mature tree. It lives 40 years. That stores a metric ton of CO2, and it just so happens that that's how much CO2 one of our race cars generates in 500 miles of racing. So a tree's a car, and fans really get that. These are our partners. These are the companies that we're doing green with. In the fall of 2008, none of these boxes were green. Now, a bunch of them are, and we're adding to that all the time. This was Earth Day 2012. So is this maybe getting a little bit intuitive now? What was counterintuitive 4 years ago, maybe a little bit more intuitive this year. Earth Day, we relaunched our internet presence, social media. We announced not long after that a memorandum of understanding with the EPA and NASCAR together, NASCAR and green together. About 1 million people saw that announcement and have been following it closely. We're running hybrid pace cars. You have green fire suppressants promoted in the racing, the tree program, and our chairman on Earth Day on MSNBC and CNN talking about green and being taken quite seriously now, which is pretty amazing for just 4 years. A few things, just facts. Okay, so what does this all mean? What does it all result in? And that's the thing. All of the folks who went before this presentation today, in terms of you're trying to get something done, you're trying to move the needle, trying to move perception, move action, get folks into this effort of making the planet better, and green is one way. So can you get it done, and get it done big? Well, a couple of charts that didn't quite make it through the transition from us to the machines here, but just let me give you a sense of it. 4 years ago, NASCAR fans and non-fans on green attitudes and behaviors were equivalent. They were the same. We baselined, right? So 4 years ago, we were the same. Now, NASCAR fans are 50% more likely than non-fans to view their household as very green and always looking for ways to positively impact the environment. Our avid fans are twice as likely, twice. So in a time when the country went green and is strongly in that direction, NASCAR fans went much more so, and the cause and effect is our entire industry, our drivers, our owners, our executives, all of us in leadership, strumming the same chords and then backing it up with real work has really gotten through to those 67 million people. And then to just give you a sense of, American-grown, American-made biofuel at a time of the worst drought in 60 years. 66% of NASCAR fans versus 45% of non-fans support the use of ethanol blended with gasoline to fuel cars on the road today to increase U.S. energy independence in the face of the worst drought in 60 years. About 50% of NASCAR fans versus about half that many of non-fans agree that hundreds of thousands of jobs have been created in the U.S. as a result of American ethanol, which is true. Now, there's a lot of messages out there to the contrary that may get you kind of doubting that, but it is true, and our fans get it because it comes to them through the sport. And without NASCAR as a context, just from a data standpoint, not to get too far into the weeds with you, but just it's long and short the answer. I don't know as an answer in all of this stuff wins out significantly more than half the time. So having sport, having NASCAR, a great American sport as a context for this really gets the message through when it's backed up by real work. And just wanted to share with you what we've done and how excited we are about it. Thank you.